a legend in anyone's book. But 5 years ago, Neil Diamond's life took a challenging turn. Anthony Mason has a story about coming to terms.
They said he was done. At 84, with Parkinson's, his voice unsteady and hands trembling, Neil Diamond could have faded quietly. Instead, he found a way to keep creating, without singing, without playing, just an iPad, dictating lyrics into a screen while his body betrayed him. And now, whispers from his inner circle say a final masterpiece may be coming, one forged not from strength, but from loss. Could Parkinson's, the disease that silenced him, also inspire his last and most personal song? This is the story of how Neil Diamond, silenced by illness, refused to stop writing, and how, through technology and pain, he's giving us one more classic. Before the silence, there was the sound. And few artists shaped American soundscapes like Neil Diamond. Born on January 24, 1941, Neil Leslie Diamond grew up in a modest Jewish household in Brooklyn. His childhood was sprinkled with challenges, yet filled with moments of wonder, especially when music played on the family radio. A gift of a guitar at 16 became the pivot point of his life. He started writing songs alone in his bedroom, stringing together poetry and melody with instinct more than training. Diamond's life seemed set on a different path. A fencing scholarship took him to NYU, where he studied pre-med. But the allure of the Brill Building, New York's music factory, was too strong. He quit college just months before graduating, a decision that would terrify most. But for Neil, it was freedom. He spent the next few years ghostwriting songs for pop artists like the Monkees, and although his name wasn't always credited, his pen was everywhere. Eventually, he stepped into the spotlight himself. With songs like Solitary Man, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, and Sweet Caroline, Diamond carved out a unique place in music. Not quite rock, not quite pop, but undeniably personal. Unlike many of his peers, he didn't chase coolness. He wore glittery shirts and spoke of pain, of longing, of the quiet kinds of hope. He wrote songs that felt like letters to yourself, the parts of you that you don't always admit out loud. By the 2010s, Neil Diamond was still touring arenas, performing 3-hour sets at nearly 75 years old. He didn't need to, he wanted to. He once said, "Performing is where I feel most alive." Then in January 2018, everything changed. Just days before his Australia leg of the 50th anniversary tour, Diamond released a statement. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and would be retiring from touring. Fans were devastated. Social media exploded with shock and grief. Many posted clips from concerts they'd attended, praising his storytelling, his honesty, the raw emotion in his voice. But behind the scenes, Diamond was unraveling. Parkinson's is a progressive disorder. There's no cure. Symptoms worsen with time. For a man whose life was rhythm and motion, it was a cruel diagnosis. He moved to his ranch in Colorado with his wife Katie McNeil, withdrawing almost completely from public view. Friends say he struggled deeply with the loss of control. "I've always been in charge of my voice, my fingers, my words," he once told a confidant. "Now they turn against me." He stopped playing instruments. He stopped writing. For a time, even listening to music was painful. And then, years later, he spoke. In 2023, Diamond appeared on CBS Sunday Morning, seated comfortably next to his wife. His voice trembled slightly. His speech was slower, but he was still sharp, still witty, still Neil. "I'm not touring," he said, "but I'm writing. I talk into this iPad. It catches what I say. Some of it is garbage. Some of it is something." He smiled when he said it, that quiet, wry smile that fans remembered. And just like that, the world leaned in again. Articles exploded online. Headlines praised his persistence. Twitter flooded with encouragement. Even tech blogs discussed how voice-to-text tools could empower artists with degenerative diseases. Neil didn't just become a story, he became a symbol, a reminder that creation doesn't end when the spotlight dims. He talked about how his morning routine had changed. Instead of warming up vocal cords, he now sat in silence, letting his thoughts drift. When something clicked, a memory, a phrase, a line, he would press record. "I dictate, then I wait. I come back later and see if I recognize myself in the words." But what fans didn't know was that these weren't just isolated notes. Behind the scenes, a project had begun, quietly, privately. According to sources close to his longtime producer Don Was, Diamond had greenlit an ambitious recording project, a multi-disc box set combining unreleased tracks from his vaults with entirely new songs dictated post-diagnosis. The working title? The Final Verse. Some tracks date back to the 70s, demos recorded in hotel rooms and studio backrooms. Others are from sessions that never made it to albums, thought to be too raw or too slow for his pop hits of the day. But the centerpiece? A collection of songs crafted during his Parkinson's years. Songs dictated slowly, emotionally, often with Diamond pausing mid-sentence as tremors took over. Producers are using AI tools to restore old vocals and create layered accompaniments. These aren't just pity releases, they're painstakingly crafted, filled with the kind of emotion that only time and loss can teach. One standout track is Silent Applause. It begins with a hush, just ambient crowd noise, slowly fading into a melody. The lyrics speak of memory, farewell, and an artist's last bow. I don't need the lights or the stage or the praise. I just need one song that knows my name. Another track, Gray Morning Light, reportedly chronicles the confusion of aging and the beauty of stillness. Diamond writes not from bitterness, but from awe, from the quiet spaces in life that most of us ignore. The most powerful song? I Still Hear the Crowd. A producer who worked on the track said, "We all cried." He recorded it in one go, dictated line by line. We knew we were witnessing something sacred. Diamond sings, "No mic in my hand, but your voices remain slash. In the hallways of memory, you echo my name." The music industry reacted with reverence. Rolling Stone is planning a full cover story. Spotify confirmed it will feature Diamond in its Legacy Legends series with a retrospective podcast and curated playlist. Younger artists, Billie Eilish, Chris Stapleton, Casey Musgraves, have all mentioned Diamond as an influence in recent interviews. Many are rumored to be involved in tribute collaborations or remixes of his unreleased demos. Meanwhile, Netflix is producing a documentary, already in post-production, tracing Diamond's journey from Brooklyn kid to global icon, ending with his fight against Parkinson's. The documentary will feature never-before-seen footage from his final tour rehearsals and exclusive interviews from his ranch. But Diamond isn't chasing relevance. He's simply finishing what he started. In private circles, he's been mentoring young songwriters through Zoom. He listens, he critiques, he tells them, sing what hurts. His wealth, estimated at $300 million, is now being funneled into causes he holds dear. The Neil Diamond Resilience Initiative, a fund supporting music therapy for Parkinson's patients, is set to launch in 2026. He recently gave a keynote, virtually, at a neuroscience conference. His final line, "Even when the body betrays you, the soul still sings." This isn't just about music, it's about purpose. At 84, Neil Diamond doesn't owe the world anything. He could have disappeared into luxury, but instead, he faced a brutal disease and chose to speak through it. He found a new way to create, a new way to reach people, a new voice, born from the silence of a broken body. When we talk about legends, we often focus on their prime, the albums, the tours, the hits, but maybe greatness isn't about the charts. Maybe it's about what you do when no one expects anything more from you. Neil Diamond is writing not because he can, but because he must. Because something inside him still glows, still aches, still hopes. And when the final verse arrives, it won't be just another album. It'll be a message, a farewell, and a reminder that creation doesn't end when the lights go down. Sometimes that's when it finally begins. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video and make sure to subscribe to our channel.